Welcome everyone to another exciting deep dive into the fascinating world of rare coins and hidden treasures where ordinary change turns into extraordinary wealth, and today we are exploring the remarkable story of the 1986 quarter dollar coin. A coin that at face value is worth just 25 cents but because of its astonishing errors and mistakes has been valued by collectors at a jaw-dropping $28 million, and the journey to understanding how such a common piece of circulated coinage can transform into one of the most sought-after rarities in American numismatic history is as much about history, minting technology, and human error as it is about the obsession collectors have with chasing perfection or, in this case, imperfection. So let's unravel the mystery and dig into the reasons why the 1986 quarter has earned such an unbelievable reputation and why its unique mistakes make it so valuable, because to appreciate its staggering worth we must first consider the minting practices of the mid-1980s, when the United States Mint was modernizing processes yet still relying heavily on mechanical striking systems that were prone to alignment issues, die cracks, planchet errors, and variations in metal composition, all of which could combine to create anomalies that slipped past inspection and entered circulation. And in the case of the 1986 quarter struck at the Philadelphia Mint, a perfect storm of such errors has made certain surviving examples an incredible rarity, starting with one of the most notable flaws, the doubled die obverse where the inscriptions like Liberty or In God We Trust appear doubled, causing a shadow-like effect that immediately distinguishes the coin to the trained eye. This doubling could have occurred because during the creation of the master die the hub impressed slightly off-angle or required multiple impressions that were not perfectly aligned, producing a dramatic visual flaw that makes the coin instantly recognizable, and collectors prize double die coins above almost any other error because the design itself carries the flaw, meaning every coin struck from the die will display the mistake, multiplying its rarity and desirability. Then there are instances of off-center strikes where the quarter design is not fully centered on the blank planchet, leaving part of the surface smooth and blank while the rest shows a partial image, and depending on how off-center the strike is, with the most valuable examples being anywhere from 40% to 70% off-center but still showing the date and mint mark, the coin can fetch an astronomical premium. And some reports suggest that a 1986 quarter with a particularly dramatic off-center strike sold at a private auction for millions simply because it combined the off-center flaw with another error like a broad strike where the coin was struck without the retaining collar, causing it to spread wider and thinner than usual, and this combination of errors is like hitting the jackpot for error coin collectors, but it doesn't stop there, as the Philadelphia Mint in 1986 was also known for producing coins with die cracks and cuds, where small breaks or chips in the die resulted in raised lines or lumps of metal on the coin's surface, often creating dramatic and unique patterns, sometimes running right across Washington's profile or through the eagle on the reverse, and these are considered die state progressions that tell a story of the die's deterioration, and when preserved in high-grade condition they become highly desirable, especially when paired with other rare attributes. Then we must consider the possibility of transitional errors, such as a coin being struck on the wrong metal planchet, and though quarters in 1986 were intended to be made of a copper-nickel-clad composition, mistakes could result in a blank from another denomination slipping into the press, for instance a dime planchet, which would result in a coin smaller and lighter than intended but still bearing the quarter design, or in rarer cases struck on an experimental or leftover silver planchet that somehow escaped into circulation. And these wrong planchet errors are among the most valuable of all, because they are not only striking anomalies but also historical accidents, and when authenticated can command millions, which is why the legend of the 1986 quarter worth $28 million has become so captivating, because it is not simply about one error but the stacking of multiple layers of rarity, doubled dies, off-centers, broad strikes, die cracks, cuds, wrong planchets, even clipped planchets where part of the blank was cut off during production creating a crescent-shaped missing edge, all of which make each coin unique, a one-of-a-kind artifact that transforms a mundane pocket change quarter into a piece of history that collectors will pay fortunes for, and the condition of the coin amplifies the value even further. As examples, graded mint state 65 or higher by professional grading services like PCGS or NGC are so rare that they can command price tags in the tens of millions because they combine rarity with pristine preservation, something nearly impossible for coins of that era which were heavily circulated. And let us not forget the mystique and mythology that builds around such coins, because once stories circulate of a rare error quarter being sold for astonishing amounts, the market buzz only increases, fueling demand among wealthy collectors who see such a piece as not just an investment but as a status symbol, a tangible connection to American minting history. And with such high stakes, fakes and counterfeits inevitably appear, but the experts can distinguish them through metallurgical analysis, strike characteristics, and die markers, ensuring that only authentic 1986 P quarters with verified errors achieve those staggering values, and this chase for authenticity and rarity has created a competitive arena where each discovery of a new error or variant sparks excitement, debate, and bidding wars, driving up the perceived value of coins like this one. And it's not only about the physical flaws but also the historical context, because 1986 was a pivotal year. The United States celebrating milestones like the centennial of the Statue of Liberty with commemorative coins issued that year, and while the quarter was not a commemorative itself, the overall atmosphere at the mint was one of high production, high pressure, and evolving technology, factors that increase the likelihood of mistakes slipping through, and for collectors these contextual layers add meaning, turning each error coin into not just a minting mistake but a story, a fragment of history preserved in metal. And when you hold such a coin in your hand, you are not just holding a quarter but a conversation piece, an investment, a rarity that bridges the worlds of everyday commerce and elite collecting. And that is why the 1986 P quarter dollar has become the stuff of legends, reaching values as high as $28 million, because it embodies everything that makes numismatics so endlessly fascinating: the unpredictability of mint errors, the passion of collectors, the drama of discovery, the thrill of rarity, and the sheer wonder that something so ordinary can become so extraordinary. And as you imagine stumbling across one of these coins in your change, hidden in a drawer, or tucked away in an old coin jar, consider the possibility that such treasures may still be out there waiting to be found, because countless coins remain unsearched, and who knows how many forgotten gems exist in attics, basements, or safe deposit boxes, which only adds to the excitement and hope for collectors everywhere. And as this story shows, the world of rare coins is not just about money but about curiosity, history, and the magical transformation of the everyday into the priceless. And with that, we've explored the incredible journey of the 1986 P quarter worth $28 million, its astonishing errors, its rare mistakes, and the possibilities that make it so valuable. So if you've enjoyed this deep dive into numismatic mysteries, make sure to stay tuned, because more hidden treasures are waiting to be uncovered. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more amazing stories about coins that could change your life forever. Next, we dive deep into one of the most fascinating stories in the world of coin collecting, a story that combines history, minting technology, human error, rarity, and the sheer excitement of discovering a piece of metal that could change your life. Because in today's discussion we are going to explore the mysterious and legendary 1990 D Washington quarter dollar coin, a coin that on the surface seems like just another common circulation piece struck in Denver during a year when millions upon millions were produced. Yet because of its unique mistakes, striking errors, and rare features, this coin has reached a mythical status with collectors and investors, with certain examples rumored to have fetched or been valued as high as $14 million, making it one of the most valuable modern quarters ever known. And as we go deeper into its background, we will examine not only the historical context of the coin but also the specific minting blunders that contributed to its value, the types of errors that specialists and treasure hunters look for, and the reasons why so many people are captivated by the idea that an ordinary-looking 1990 D quarter could be worth more than a mansion, a yacht, or even multiple luxury cars combined. And to start this fascinating journey we need to first step back into the year 1990, when the United States Mint was producing Washington quarters with the familiar eagle reverse that had been in use since 1932 and the bust of George Washington on the obverse designed by John Flanagan. And while tens of millions of 1990 D quarters rolled off the presses in Denver, only a very small fraction of them were born with mistakes, flaws, or anomalies that turned them into rare treasures. Because in coin collecting what really drives value beyond metal content is scarcity, condition, and uniqueness. And when these three converge in one specimen you get astronomical valuations such as $14 million for a coin that most people would otherwise overlook in their pocket change. And collectors often debate which specific varieties of the 1990 D quarter are the most important, but among the known possibilities are double die obverse errors where the inscriptions such as "In God We Trust" or "Liberty" appear doubled, creating a ghostly shadow-like text that immediately signals a minting mishap, or off-center strikes where the entire image of Washington's bust is shifted so much that part of the blank planchet remains exposed, a striking visual that adds dramatic rarity, or clipped planchets where part of the coin's rim looks as though a bite has been taken out of it because the blank was cut from sheet metal improperly. And there are also wrong planchet errors where a quarter design was accidentally struck on a nickel, dime, or foreign coin blank, producing a lightweight or oddly colored piece that should never have existed. And each of these errors can carry immense value depending on severity, appeal, and preservation. But the legend of the $14 million 1990 D-quarter suggests something even rarer, perhaps a perfect storm of multiple errors such as a double die with an off-center strike combined with a wrong planchet scenario, or perhaps a one-of-a-kind pattern or transitional error that was struck during a moment when the mint was testing equipment, and collectors speculate endlessly about what makes this coin so valuable. But the underlying truth is that mistakes like these are not supposed to happen, and when they do, they represent a small rebellion against the precision and uniformity of the mint, a tiny accident frozen in metal that becomes a modern relic of human imperfection, and in that imperfection lies the opportunity for unimaginable fortune. And this is why thousands of collectors to this day still check their change, searching for that one quarter from 1990 that might hold the hidden jackpot. And as we think about the process that produced it, we can imagine the Denver Mint in 1990 with presses running at high speed, striking hundreds of coins per minute, feeding blank planchets through mechanical arms, dies slamming together under tremendous pressure, and all it takes is a misaligned die, a miscut planchet, a piece of grease clogging part of the die, or a mix-up with metal composition, and suddenly a new rarity is born. Unnoticed at first but destined to create waves decades later when collectors finally recognize it, and in some cases, these mistakes slipped into bags and rolls sent to banks, grocery stores, and corner shops, where they lived ordinary lives being passed from hand to hand, buying candy, gas, newspapers, or cups of coffee, completely unaware of their destiny, until one sharp-eyed person spotted something unusual, pulled it aside, and changed numismatic history. And this is part of the magic that makes the 1990 D-quarter so intriguing, because it represents the possibility that an everyday object might secretly be worth a fortune, and that possibility fuels the imagination, and as more and more discoveries are made, the stories grow, and the legend of the $14 million coin captures attention worldwide. But let's break down more of the possible mistakes and how they contribute to value, because error types each have their own market and specialist following. For instance, die cracks, where lines appear like raised scars across the coin because the die itself fractured under stress, can sometimes add hundreds or thousands of dollars of value if they form dramatic shapes or connect letters, and broad strikes, where the coin is struck without a collar and thus spreads out wider than normal, create a pancake-like effect highly prized by error collectors, while double-struck coins that were fed back into the press and struck a second time with a shifted image create a mesmerizing layered design, and struck through errors where foreign objects like cloth, grease, or wire got between the die and the blank leave behind imprints that make each coin one of a kind. And in extreme cases a coin can even be struck on the wrong year's design or with a mule pairing of mismatched obverse and reverse dies, producing pieces so rare that only a handful are known, and such an error on a 1990 D-quarter could certainly explain a multi-million-dollar valuation. And to understand why the market would assign $14 million to one coin, we must also consider condition, because a coin with even the most dramatic error will not reach its full potential if it is scratched, worn, or corroded. But a coin preserved in pristine mint state condition with lustrous surfaces and sharp details can fetch astronomical sums at auction, especially if it is the only known specimen, and stories of single coins selling for millions often follow this pattern: a unique error, flawless preservation, and intense competition among wealthy collectors who see the coin not only as a piece of history but also as an investment and a trophy. And in this sense, the 1990 D-quarter valued at $14 million is a perfect storm of rarity, quality, and market demand. And for those who wonder how realistic this is, we can point to past records in numismatics where coins like the 1933 St. Gaudens Double Eagle or the 1794 Flowing Hair Silver Dollar sold for many millions because of their rarity and story. And while the 1990 D-quarter does not carry the age of a colonial coin or the gold content of a double eagle, it carries the allure of being an extraordinary modern mistake, a once-in-a-lifetime discovery that turned an ordinary pocket change coin into a multi-million-dollar artifact. And this fuels endless speculation. What if more exist? What if another $14 million quarter is sitting in a jar of change in someone's kitchen right now? And that is why collectors encourage everyone to keep checking their coins, especially 1990 D-quarters, because lightning can strike again, and in the end this journey is not only about money but also about curiosity, attention to detail, and appreciation for history. Because each coin tells a story, and the story of the 1990 D-quarter is about how errors, accidents, and human oversight can create beauty and fortune, and it challenges us to look more closely at the world around us, to never dismiss the small things, because sometimes the smallest object can hold the biggest surprise. And as we wrap this exploration, it is worth reminding ourselves that coin collecting is about discovery, patience, and passion. And even if most people never find the $14 million quarter, the thrill of the hunt, the knowledge gained, and the stories shared make the hobby rewarding. And who knows, maybe you, listening right now, will be the next person to uncover an extraordinary rarity that changes your life. So always check your coins, treasure the hunt, and if you enjoyed this deep dive into the 1990 D quarter and its remarkable legend, make sure to stay tuned, subscribe, and join us for more amazing stories from the world of rare coins, because the next $1 million discovery could be just a pocket away. Today we will explore a remarkable story that has captured the imagination of collectors, historians, and treasure hunters alike, the tale of the 1995 Washington $quarter coin, a piece of American currency that under normal circumstances would seem so ordinary and so common that it might pass through your hands 100 times in a year without ever catching your attention. Yet under the right conditions and with the right combination of errors, mistakes, and unique striking issues, this coin has become a legend in numismatic circles, rumored to be worth as much as $9 million, and in this journey together we will uncover what makes it so incredibly valuable, why errors in coins can lead to astronomical prices, and how the 1995 quarter, struck at the Philadelphia Mint, has become one of the most mysterious and celebrated error coins of modern times. And as we move forward you will see how every little detail, from die alignment to doubling, from planchet imperfections to minting mishaps, plays a role in transforming a simple 25-cent piece into a fortune. So let us begin by considering the context of the 1995 Philadelphia quarter itself, minted in massive numbers, with hundreds of millions of quarters entering circulation during that year, a year that most would consider unremarkable in terms of coinage production. Yet hidden within the flood of coins were rare specimens bearing unusual characteristics that would later stun collectors. One of the most widely known and sought-after varieties is the double die error, a phenomenon that occurs when the hub imprints a design more than once onto the die in slightly misaligned positions, creating the appearance of doubled letters or numbers on the coin. And in 1995 collectors discovered quarters with dramatic doubling particularly visible on inscriptions like, "In God We Trust," or "Liberty." And while many doubled die coins are known across multiple years and denominations, the 1995 doubled die quarter stands out because of its scarcity and the prominence of the doubling, which makes it obvious to even the naked eye without magnification. Now imagine holding such a coin in your hand, something that looks almost like an optical illusion, the letters appearing shadowed or doubled as if the minter had created two versions of the same word layered slightly apart. Such dramatic doubling creates a buzz in numismatic markets, but the 1995 quarter has more to its story than just doubling, for other errors have been discovered that add to its mystique, including off-center strikes, which occur when the coin blank is not properly seated in the press and only part of the design is struck, leaving a crescent-shaped blank area on one side, and in extreme cases with dates still visible these off-center quarters can sell for thousands. Then there are broad strikes, coins that escape the retaining collar during striking, leading to a wider, flatter appearance, and though these are often dramatic they rarely come with the date intact. But when a 1995 quarter shows such a feature along with date and mint mark, the value increases exponentially. And we cannot forget about planchet errors, where a wrong metal blank is fed into the press, creating coins that might be struck on dime planchets, penny planchets, or even foreign coin blanks, which sometimes happen due to the Philadelphia Mint's role in producing coins for other nations. And if a 1995 quarter was struck on the wrong planchet, the weight, size, and composition would be unusual, giving it immense desirability among collectors, as even a single verified example of such an error can fetch prices beyond imagination. And when you add all of these possibilities together, the doubling, the off-centers, the broad strikes, the wrong planchets, the clipped planchets where a piece of metal was missing before striking, or die cracks that create raised lines across the coin's surface, you begin to see how an ordinary year could give birth to extraordinary treasures, and the pinnacle of these is the coin rumored to be worth $9 million, a unique or near-unique specimen embodying multiple dramatic errors in one, perhaps a double die with an off-center strike, struck on the wrong planchet, making it the ultimate dream find for collectors. And this leads us into the psychology of rarity. For value in numismatics is not merely about the metal content of a coin but about its story, its uniqueness, and its demand. And the 1995 quarter's story is one of chance and imperfection, where mistakes that should have been discarded instead slipped into circulation and survived against the odds, creating a handful of coins that today are treated like holy relics by collectors. Some say that one such coin was sold in a private auction for millions. Its combination of doubling, striking error, An unusual planchet making it unlike anything else, and this is why rumors circulate that it could be worth $9 million to the right buyer, because when two wealthy collectors compete for something unique, the price can reach stratospheric levels, much like we have seen with other legendary coins such as the 1933 Double Eagle or the 1794 Flowing Hair Dollar, and though the 1995 P quarter might seem modest by comparison, its mystique and the aura surrounding error coins propels it into that same sphere of fascination. Now let us take a closer look at how these errors happen. Because understanding minting technology helps us appreciate why such coins exist, the minting process begins with metal strips rolled to the correct thickness, from which blanks are punched. The blanks then go through an upsetting mill to raise rims before entering presses, where dies strike the designs onto them under immense pressure. But any mistake along the way, such as a misaligned die, a defective blank, or mechanical failure, can lead to unusual results. And because the Philadelphia Mint produces coins in massive volumes, quality control cannot catch every mistake, so some slip into circulation, and while most errors are minor, occasionally one is spectacular, and when such spectacular errors surface decades later, collectors clamor for them, driving prices higher and higher. This is the case with the 1995 P quarter, which exists in normal circulation by the hundreds of millions but in rare varieties numbering perhaps only in the dozens or even a single coin, and scarcity drives demand. Now think about how many people over the years may have unknowingly spent such a coin in vending machines, parking meters, or fast food restaurants, unaware that they held something worth a fortune. And this is part of the romance of coin collecting, the possibility that treasure hides in plain sight, that a small piece of metal could change your life, and the 1995 P quarter embodies that hope, and collectors scour rolls, bags, and old jars of change in search of that elusive error, hoping to find what others missed. And the stories of lucky finds inspire more searches. For instance, reports of double die quarters found in circulation years after their minting or errors discovered in inherited collections, showing that persistence can pay off. And as we consider the $9 million valuation, we must also recognize that it represents the extreme end of the market, where rarity, demand, and mystique converge, yet even lesser errors from 1995 can command significant sums. A dramatic off-center strike might bring thousands, a double die tens of thousands, and combined errors even more, making the 1995 P quarter one of the most profitable coins of the modern era if found in exceptional condition with dramatic mistakes. And this raises another point, the role of condition or grade, for coins are graded on a scale from circulated to mint state, with higher grades fetching higher prices, and if an error coin is found in uncirculated condition, its value skyrockets, and collectors dream of locating a pristine 1995 P quarter error that has survived untouched, because each grade increase multiplies its worth, and thus condition, rarity, and error type all combine to determine the market value. But at the top of the pyramid is the mythical $9 million coin, a specimen so rare and unique that it transcends ordinary pricing, embodying the dreams of collectors and the fascination with human error in mechanical processes. For in every mistake lies opportunity, and this coin proves it. And as we continue exploring the possibilities, we must not overlook how error coins serve as historical artifacts, reflecting the technology and practices of their time. For the 1995 P quarter errors reveal the limitations of minting in the 1990s, before certain modern improvements in quality control, making them a snapshot of numismatic history. And for collectors, history is value, because owning such a coin is like owning a piece of the mint's secret story, a story of imperfection, survival, and discovery. So the legend of the 1995 P quarter continues to grow, whispered in coin shops, debated in numismatic forums, and sought after in auctions, inspiring both casual hobbyists and serious investors to keep searching their change, because perhaps the next fortune is hiding in plain sight, waiting in a pocket or a purse, ready to be recognized by a keen eye. And as we wrap this exploration, remember that the tale of the 1995 P quarter dollar is more than just about money. It is about the thrill of discovery, the magic of rarity, and the wonder that something as small as a quarter can hold within it a story worth millions. So always check your coins carefully.